for today, my final speech for this speech class is going to be informative speech, and what I'm going to do is talk about Star Wars today. It's one of my favorite movies. It's one of my favorite things to talk about, so this isn't going to be hard. I want to thank the other 4 people that I invited over that didn't show up to make my 10, so I will be deducted accordingly, I'm sure, by my instructor. Star Wars is basically a movie that started by George Lucas. He wrote the screenplay. Everyone knows what Star Wars is, whether you like it or don't. You know, you've heard of it before. The funny thing is no one wanted it. George Lucas was a fairly lesser-known director, producer. He'd written a couple things, American Graffiti. He'd written THX 1138. When he wrote the thing for Star Wars, it was in the mid-'70s. He wrote the screenplay, shopped it around, no one wanted it. Basically because war was in the title, and that was at the post of the Vietnam War. No one wanted anything to do with it. Finally, 20th Century Fox said, all right, we'll take a gamble. It was a very low budget that they gave him to make the movie. He did what he could with it. In fact, part of the rest of my story is he took a cut in his salary to acquire the marketing rights. Now, at that time, that was considered just commercial suicide, that you would do that, because no movie had ever done anything in the 70s with marketing toys and different things. Well, the thing about Star Wars is it has a hugely successful toy line. It has grown into Legos, action figures, video games, you name it. And George Lucas, being the visionary that he was able to capitalize on that by taking a few $1,000s less in 1977. The movie itself, Star Wars, has grown into 3 other movies, which was always his vision. Later became 3 more prequel movies, which basically told the story of Star Wars before it became that. That he dreamed up later. Since then, too, there's also been several cartoon spin-offs. We have Star Wars Rebels, Star Wars Clone Wars. I mean, there's a lot of them. You see that on TV today. That's why I say Star Wars is still relevant, even from what it started as. The different toy lines I already talked about. When the movie came out, there is another little side note. When the movie came out in 1977, he was very confident about what he created, but he also was not very confident in the public liking it. What happened that day was the day of the movie premiere in 1977, he went on vacation. He didn't even go to the movie premiere. He went with Steven Spielberg to Hawaii, which is another very well-known movie director, and on that vacation they created a character called Indiana Jones. That's another speech in itself, but I think everyone's probably heard of him, so I guess when you're good, is all I can say. The toy line itself became for kids initially, and now today it's grown into more of an adult collectible thing. Kids still play with Star Wars toys, but then we have Legos, we have action figures, video games, like I said before. To have some of the stuff from the 70s is very collectible. To get on with it, I guess, in 2012, George Lucas decided he was done with this. He was wanting to sell it. Walt Disney bought the rights to Star Wars. They now own every Star Wars movie, and they have promised that they are going to make more movies and more series. That being said, George Lucas is going to not have as big a hand in it as he did before, but he will still get some say in it. That brings us to right now, basically, Episode 7, which would be the 7th movie in the Star Wars series, came out, produced by George Lucas, or having a hand with George Lucas, but produced by the Disney Corporation. It is, without a doubt, the most, how do I want to say, the highest grossing movie, the highest paid, I don't know, it's gotten several accolades that just are going to probably be beat by the next Star Wars movie. So, again, this introduced another toy line with these new characters mixed with the old ones. There's just an endless thing that you can go with here. They have theme parks in Florida, Hong Kong, California, that are all based on Star Wars, basically in the Disneyland parks, and there's another one being built. So again, this is just, Disney has promised 3 more movies. I don't see this ending anywhere, and like I say, I'm glad I was a part of the 1977 Star Wars, and now my child can be a part of the 1970 or the newer stuff, and I think it'll go on from there. I hope that educated everybody a little bit more about Star Wars, and go see the movies. Thank you.
Yay.